these things are the things that attract people to our city. So this agreement is for 2 years, 2022 and 2023. It's $16,000 a year. In the past, this has gone straight to the fire governing board, and it was paid there. Fire now gives us annual allocation for economic development purposes, and I'm suggesting that out of those proceeds that we would support the public program.
Mr. Chair, if I could.
Alderman Weigel.
Just anecdotally, I can observe, I mean, there's a station right over here and a public lot over here. I've observed a lot more traffic there today. I believe the numbers are up actually considerably this year, and they did add the electric bikes. So they're not motorcycles, but they have pedal assist electric bicycles in there, and yeah. So it's not just all the cool kids are doing it. I think there's a real use to it. So
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Item 16 is a resolution approving a rate change for the 2023 sanitary sewer usage charge. City
Move approval. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. And item 17, a resolution approving an increase in the solid waste fund user charge.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Item 18, motion to approve the minutes.
Move to approve. Second.
And then I'm always ready to approve the budget. And yeah, we're going to approve the budget right now. Is that everybody's understanding? And then bring it to committee upstairs or out of
Council.
committee to the council. Thank you, Marty. All right, very good.
Move approval.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. Any discussion on the budget?
I won't go into my spiel, so YouTube, the last meeting.
Yeah.
I said it all then, and ditto.
So again, yes. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. And then item 20 is an ordinance appropriating necessary funds for the operation and administration of the city of West Dallas for
Move
the
for
calendar
approval.
year.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
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 All right, we're adjourned.
Safety and Development Committee will come to order. We have one item on the agenda. It's item 22. That was the public hearing this evening, ordinance to amend section 19.01 of the municipal zoning map for certain properties in alignment with the 2040 comprehensive plan.
Mr. Chair,
Alderman Weigel.
if I could, I see that Attorney Dagan is here. I guess I have a couple questions.
You want to come?
And I guess the questions that I have that you didn't answer already up at council during the public hearing is, what harm is there if we go along with staff's recommendation? Does that cause you to lose your current tenant? Does it make it more difficult to get a new tenant if this tenant leaves?
I think it's the second part, because there is a binding lease agreement right now, and I think the tenant is quite happy with the space and the location, and frankly, we are hopeful that they will renew the lease, but there's no guarantee of that.
But this wouldn't keep them from renewing their lease, a change, because they're an existing use. If it's a
They
legal
would be-
non-conforming.
Yeah, they would be grandfathered in,
Yeah.
but if they leave and we had to find a new tenant, that's when the risk really.
Well, but that's when the risk can come to the city, because we don't know who your new tenant would be,
Sure.
right?
Well, we would still have to come in, I think the use would be grandfathered, but I imagine the tenant occupancy would still have to be approved, although I'm not,
Is that true?
you can't just bring somebody in.
Yeah, if the existing tenant left and a new tenant came in, we would need a new occupancy permit. But as long as the uses were the same and not outside of, if they went within 12 months, they could
Yeah.
come right in.
Yeah, but if it's sat empty for 12 months,
If it's sat empty for, 13
then
months,
then the
then
non-conforming use
it would have to meet the current zoning.
wouldn't have to meet the current zoning.
Right. Whatever that may be. Right.
So
yeah.
the way it appears to me now, the rezoning as staff is suggesting, is protecting the city. And it's not keeping you from signing your current tenant or keeping another tenant in the future, as long as there's not a 1-year lag. Can't imagine that building would sit empty for a year if it was ever empty. So, I mean, we don't have crystal balls. I think the last 2
They
years.
do. That's the problem with the building of this size, and that's the fear. I represent a lot of commercial landlords, and we have run into that. Had a meeting with a property owner in New Berlin, and he has had it been.
Oh, that's New
empty.
Berlin. This is Highway 100. Yeah.
Or I
But
shouldn't have mentioned
again,
that
we
name.
don't know who your
Sure.
this new imaginary tenant might be in the future.
Right. No, we would still have to get approval, though. We can't just waltz in with anybody off of the street, and I don't know that anybody would actually take over the 71,000 square feet, or approximately what it is for the whole building. And that's the danger here, is that's the concern. And I think Able, as long as Able's there, they're in there now and they are grandfathered in, so I don't think they're too worried about it. It's just that my clients are worried, and I think justifiably so, is that if Able chooses to go to a bigger facility because they're growing as a company and they're doing really well, if they say, hey, this is too small for us, see ya in a few years, then that could sit empty. And if we only find somebody to take the front part of the building, that's great, but then we've got the back half of the building that would be zoned C3 and would require major renovations again to try to meet the new zoning code, or we'd have to get a new tenant in there that would meet some of the new zoning definitions, which I started working on that with Steve. I had a couple of meetings with him to talk about what could work there, and I was a little concerned that the definitions are a little bit vague and kind of hard to predict, what type of business can go in there, although I did give one example of I have a client that's a tool and die company that's low impact and no noise, no pollution, that kind of thing, and he said that would be a tenant that would be considered. So that's a possibility. I mean, it doesn't leave us totally empty-handed, but the concern is if we want to get, let's say we cater to Kohler Company, which might say, hey, Able was there and did really well, so we want to open up a branch location to compete with Able and a couple of the other big houses. If we can't get them in within 12 months, we would be not able to get them in there because of the zoning.
Well, I want to point out that we don't want the use to change dramatically from the use that's there now.
No, you're right.
The
You're
only
right.
difference, if it's sat empty for a year and you had to get a new tenant, they would have to comply with the 30% for the commercial front rather than the 20%. So you could keep the same type of use, you just have to expand the commercial part a little bit. And I don't think that's too big of a burden to ask. We're grandfathering the present tenant, the present usage. Quite frankly, we were very happy when we had the opportunity to have that kind of a development there.
Sure.
We went along with the split zone because that was the only way that we could accommodate the developer.
Right.
Now we have updated our zoning ordinances and come up with better plans because some of these, most of these zoning ordinances were many years old and were not fitting modern times and modern technology and modern industry. So we've updated that, and the C3 accommodates those types of operations. So I think you're fully protected for the types of uses that we want there, and I think that are currently existing there. It's just that if you get a new tenant, they got to expand the commercial by 10% more.
Yeah, there's-
And I don't think that's a major obstacle in that
There's
building.
only one catch to that, is that if the property needed to be divided, let's say we can't find one tenant to take over the whole space, and if we needed to get two tenants in there, that's when it gets a little more dicey.
Well, we don't want those industrial types of uses there, only the C3 uses. So that is exactly what we want to prevent. I mean, if the building gets divided in half, you're going to have similar uses to what's existing there now.
And that's where I'm suggesting that would require some major renovation and some terrific investment in the back part of the building, which we weren't anticipating.
Well, that's the market, and I can't help that. I mean, we can't change our zoning to fit the spot zone and fit one person. We want to be uniform in that area, and we think we're being very accommodating to the both the property owner and the tenant.
Yeah.
Is there any further discussion? I think we need a motion to, number one, remove item 33, right?
Correct, yes.
Remove item 33, the Nain Church parcel.
Move,
I so move, that amendment or just,
So it's going, that would be an amendment to remove that from this.
second the amendment on item 33, line 33.
Yep.
All in favor of the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Then on the ordinance as a whole, is there a motion to pass as amended?
I move approval as amended.
And amended is C3.
So that's.
Yes,
keeping
okay,
it
okay,
at-
okay.
Keeping
With
it that.
minus 33 to,
Right.
yep, second.
Right. Any discussion? All in favor of the ordinance as amended, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.